Right, we are live. Welcome to part two of our podcast. We are joined by myself, OT Joe, and Dr. Will. We will be talking about exercise part two. We probably should have hit the recording, Will, a little bit earlier because we had a great conversation then, didn't we?
Yeah.
About diet. So we were just talking about diet and in particular the Mediterranean diet, which I was having a bit of a chat with Will a couple of weeks ago. I was just We were talking about probiotics, and they can be quite costly, you say, can't they, Will? And your go-to would be the Mediterranean diet. I'll ask Will a few more questions about that in a minute, but I just want to talk about it. I've only been on this diet for 2 weeks, Will, and I've certainly noticed a real difference. Like I said, I have calorie counted in the past, but I think I'd class myself as a bit of an all or nothing with OCD type behaviours. What I tended to struggle with is I'd lose the weight, and then we're into that maintenance stage, aren't we? I'd find that quite tricky. Um, so I kind of like just sticking to my 3 meals a day, but certain foods and anxiety and stress used to trigger my gastro issues off. So obviously I asked, well, what his advice would be, and he recommended the Mediterranean diet. And I've dropped a few kilo in the last few weeks. I feel like I've got more energy, sleeps better, food's cleaner. So I was just saying to Will, he should definitely talk more about this. So over to you, Will.
Yeah, I mean, the Mediterranean diet has traditionally over many, many years been the one that dietitians and doctors have thought is the healthiest for sort of anti-inflammatory foods and for longevity. Quite a lot of these blue zones where people live for longer have diets that are similar to this. And it emphasizes plants as the sort of core foundation. It's not a plant only diet. You have fish, you can add meats and all this kind of stuff, but there's that big foundation, as I say, of plants, and then of like whole grains, legumes, and nuts, these kinds of things. And with that, you cook everything basically in olive oil. And as you say, Joe, basically you can lose weight two ways. You can lose a lot of water weight at the start, especially if you were eating a diet that was inflaming your gut. It makes you retain water. And so if you go to one of these diets, you lose that quite quickly. But then secondly, it's about increasing your fiber and it's about increasing your roughage and actually makes you fuller quicker on good stuff. So unlike, I don't know what the polar opposite is, McDonald's, um, you won't tend to get full until you've destroyed a meal and then had another double cheeseburger on top.
Yeah,
Whereas with these, it tends to slowly fill you. You then don't have as many insulin spikes, glucose spikes, because the sugars that are in it are more long lasting, longer acting, and so you don't crave food afterwards as well. Um, and the other thing is, like when you said before, it's potentially easier to hold on to. You've noticed that you can lose weight in diets, but then you can put it back on again
yeah,
afterwards.
yeah,
You're forming a habit of just changing what you put in your body.
yeah,
You can make a Mediterranean diet very, very delicious.
yeah,
And it's about sort of adding things in rather than taking things away. And I think
yeah,
sometimes that's a better way to think about things. If you're just restricting things all the time, it can be really tough.
yeah. And I think people that I went on ChatGPT actually. I wouldn't recommend this for everything, but um, I got an idea of what the Mediterranean diet was roughly, but I kind of wanted it to create a shopping list for me and some meals. So if anyone's like looking to start where to start, it's good just to have a look and see what foods are on there. Give me a lot of information about what's in the Mediterranean diet, and I've kind of just adapted my meals to suit. I love sea bass. I'll often try and marinate that the night before, and I might have that with some parsley. But I'm eating a lot of veg raw at the minute with hummus, so I'm not cooking it through. It's yeah, rather than snacking on the wrong foods, it might be lots of chocolate. I mean, I've replaced that with dark chocolate, but I'm not eating that in excess. A couple of cubes a day. I have a bag of mixed nuts on me if I'm out on the road, just to kind of snack on that. I think it's important with you with your timing for food, isn't it? I think you'll know a lot more than me about this, but sense of people, let's relate it to me. Maybe my experiences when I've not been as organised with my meals and my food and stuff. I've been on the road. Say I've been going to see a patient. I'll pass a takeaway, McDonald's, KFC, straight in there, and I know what it's going to do to my body, but because I've not been organised, KFC is probably the worst for that. I think for someone with gastro issues, it can really make me ill for a couple of days. So I think definitely from my experience, like anybody with issues around gastro issues or anxiety, I think it's a really good diet to go to, isn't it?
Yeah, and you should never shop or seek food out when you're hungry.
Yeah,
Your
yeah,
body will just like scream for sugar. It will scream for
yeah,
an easy fix, and it'll scream for all of the wrong stuff most of the time.
yeah,
Meal prepping is incredible, um, unbelievably difficult to do, and is like everything, like we've talked about before, a habit that you need to meld into your own life.
yeah,
I mean, I'm not, I know all about this. I know all about the benefits of it, and I still can't get myself to meal prep for the week on a Sunday so that I've got all
oh,
my meals the next week. But if you can do that even for a couple of days or just the night before, you'll find you make so many
yeah.
good, healthy choices at night time when you've had your dinner for the next day, and you'll make all of the worst choices at 1 o'clock when you're rushing
Yeah.
between patients the day after.
We could kind of add that to the exercise because diet's important, isn't it? What would you say to somebody that's we've given this advice about the Mediterranean diet, but we wanted to someone that's not exercised before. We go back to the basics. What would we say to somebody that wants to get into exercise and get a bit healthier for the mental health and the long term
I think
health wise?
the important thing to do is start, okay? And if you've never exercised before, or if it's been a long time, if because of your mental health, maybe you feel unfit, maybe you've put on a few pounds and you've just completely lost confidence in how you look or how you move, starting can be the hardest thing to do. And my advice there is don't overthink it. Um, the biggest gains that you'll have, the biggest benefits that you have from exercise are, and this is sort of what research says, from people who do nothing to doing a little bit of exercise. And it doesn't need to be you go to the gym and then successfully get through a whole body workout, start to finish, and you're in there for an hour. If you manage to do 10 minutes to start with in your own living room, where you do some body weight things, or you're able to, even if it's been quite a while and you feel really unfit and really low in confidence, going for a brisk walk for 15 minutes, doing something is far more important than being perfect. And I think,
It's right.
yeah,
That's right. That's right. I agree. Sorry to interrupt, but I just
no,
wanted to, you put a really good, you shared a really good post. Was it today or yesterday? I think it was a brisk walk. Was it a 10-minute walk? A 10-minute
yeah,
walk can really soothe your nervous system.
yeah,
I can relate to that. If you've woken up, you've not had a good night's sleep, or you're a bit anxious about something. Um, Mine was probably recognizing that Sunday, Monday was a little bit full on. Probably didn't prioritize enough for myself, my own self-care.
Mhm.
And, you know, I'm human. I probably did a bit of scrolling for the last week. Woke up
Yeah.
a little bit later than normal. Scrolled straight on my phone, straight on the laptop to log on. You know, rather than having a better routine. Like I said, we're all human, so I thought, right, well, yesterday I went for a 10-minute walk. Your post was a little bit of a reminder just to check in with myself. So I did a 15-minute walk before work, and hey presto, it did really calm my nervous system. I felt like it set me up for the day.
Yeah.
You know, so something as simple as that, it can really make a difference, can't it?
Yeah, and it improves your nervous system, your hormonal system as well. The stress hormone is renownedly known as something called cortisol, and we know that exercise, even a small amount of exercise, for a short period of time, can drastically reduce cortisol, and therefore the stress response drastically reduces. There's four happy hormones, essentially, hormones that, if they are reduced, can turn into anxiety and depression. Dopamine, um, epinephrine, serotonin, and um, the anyway, those three are the ones that exercise deal with and exercise boost. And so it's dealing with your hormones as well as your nervous system. It creates something called BNFE in the brain, and that also has an effect on your stress levels and improves your memory. So there's lots of things that small amounts of exercise can do um, on your nervous system and on your hormones, as you say.
It's really good as well, isn't it, for rewiring the brain? If your brain has become sensitive over time, you know, whether that's because of anxiety and the physical symptoms that come with that, which, you know, the physical symptoms, can't they can be always the last thing to go. But would you feel like, from your experience, and certainly mine, working with people, when they're kind of going through that journey, they often get frustrated and angry because they still experience the symptoms. But I always try to calm them by saying, well, you're doing the right things. You know, you're exercising, you're doing the things that you enjoy, and the symptoms will eventually go. But, you know, the more you become frustrated with the symptoms, and the more you get angry towards them, and the more you fear them, the longer that they linger. But exercise, I'm trying to get round to the point of that. Exercise is really good, isn't it? At helping you feel safe in your own body, because I can go and do a legs workout. I think I did legs on Saturday, and I think it was probably Tuesday by the time I recovered. I had a good workout, and I did a 5K as well on Sunday. So
Mhm.
it certainly teaches me to think, right, well, you know, I'm a bit tight. The left hip's a bit tight. It's a bit tender. It could be a little bit of Sunday, Monday was a bit stressful, and I've also exercised, but it doesn't last.
Mhm.
It will fade. But I think the more that these people overthink their symptoms, and the longer they last, and I suppose the longer they're telling the brain that, right, well, this symptom or this is dangerous. So
Mhm.
the brain reinforces that, doesn't it? And the
Yeah,
cycle continues.
and as we say, it's good to allow you to realize that some of these um, pains or stranger symptoms can occur in your body, because when you push your body through exercise, it can strain things. As you say, you had these delayed onset muscle soreness for 5 days straight, and it teaches you that you can have these and it not be a pathology.
Yeah.
Um, and as you say, it can dampen the mind. And what we wanted to talk about more this today was how intimidating it can be to start, and kind of hints and tips that we could give to try and get things going. And you touched on something there, which was doing something you enjoy. Because I know that you go to the gym, you run, you also do martial arts, um, and having things that you enjoy, previous things that you've enjoyed. If you've played sports before, starting to do something like that. If you've got a
Yeah.
friend who is into fitness, maybe going with them to give you a little bit of encouragement. And speaking of that, I think social connections, when combined with exercise,
Oh, it's
improves
amazing.
both of those things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and there's loads of stuff around Manchester, and there's loads of run
Oh,
clubs. Um, every
paddle.
martial art has incredible, like has this in
Yeah.
an incredible way. Yeah.
I'll shine. I'm quite new to martial arts. I've been doing it since May. It was a little bit daunting at first.
Mhm.
I'll be completely honest. The first
Yeah.
session involved turning up. I did see they were in there, but I got back in my car and quickly went home. But I think that was my brain subconsciously sussing out and getting me ready. And
Yeah.
I did beat myself up for a short period in the car because like, I should have just gone in. I'm weak. But when I actually thought about it, I thought, no, I think my brain just needed to feel that and just feel safe, and it did. And then I went back the week after. But
Mhm.
there's been time. Again, it's got to depend on your mindset for these exercises. You know, what's the sole purpose of you going? Well, I wanted to go. I wanted to try something new,
Mhm.
be part of a community, do something,
Yeah.
do exercise with somebody else in a group to help me in it, and it really, it really did. And like last night, I finished work. The classes are quite late; they're 8 p.m. And the last thing I wanted to do was exercise. But I got myself off the sofa. I went, and I felt amazing after. It gave
Mhm.
me a real lift. So, for anyone wanting to try something like that, I'd really, I really would recommend it.
Yeah.
But
And it gets, yeah, sorry.
no, go on, Will. No, go on.
Well, that feeling afterwards improves as you get fitter.
Yeah,
So you may not feel that at the start, and to get through that, you may want to give yourself some sort of treat or combine it with a habit that you already have. So some people like to exercise in the morning, some people prefer to exercise in the evening time. If you're someone who goes and gets a coffee before work, or if you feel like, no, I'm going to save some money or not get the coffee because, calories, or you might get a pastry that you didn't have before, you could go to the gym or you could do a workout and then you could treat yourself with that afterwards. Um, Combining it with a treat and combining it with a habit to start with makes it more likely that you're going to do it. And what you mentioned before, how you went to the martial arts class, looked inside, got back in your car and went home. I know you sort of then had a go at yourself afterwards and came
yeah,
around to the idea that actually it was better than nothing. It is better than nothing.
yeah,
And that's the hardest part, is actually getting in the car.
yeah,
And you took one more step
yeah,
to exercising and therefore sort of improving your physical and
yeah,
mental health.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
if you get into the gym, you do one exercise, you feel embarrassed and you go home, you should pat yourself on the back for doing that and then come back next time and try and do two.
I agree. It doesn't matter if you don't. That's really good how you summarise that. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter if you don't actually take part in the first session, but sometimes your brain just needs to feel that, feel
Mhm.
safe in that environment, suss it out. It doesn't mean that you're not going back again. It's just thinking, like you said, give yourself a pat on the back. You actually went, and then
Mhm.
you joined in the next time, and then the rest was history. So that's really important. So I'm thinking, how do we round this off now?
Um, I think just to say that anything is better than nothing.
Yeah,
The greatest benefits of exercise happen from sitting on your bum to getting up and doing something. That we're talking about longevity, health
yeah,
span,
sure, yeah,
improvements in your mental health, improvements in your physical health, everything. That is way better than someone who goes 6 times a week, turning to 7 times a week, whether it's so slight. Try to do it something that you enjoy. Try to do something as part of a community. Maybe do something with someone you already know. If you are, very unfit, quite overweight, really struggle with anxiety, maybe a 15-minute walk is good enough, or maybe being at home and doing a few things in front of the TV is good enough. Starting is the important thing.
Yeah.
Be kind to yourself. We say this all the time. Whilst you're going through this process, if you've become anxious over a year, maybe give yourself a year to feel better again, and be kind to yourself throughout, and just little steps every day or every week, and you'll make progress. You'll start to gain momentum. It will start to snowball.
I'll echo that.
Yeah.
Baby steps.
The other thing as well that I find is massively reassuring is most people are nice when it comes to exercise.
Yeah.
They're trying to improve themselves. And if they're not nice, most people don't really care about you. They're thinking about their plans. So you think everyone's staring at you when you come in the gym. I appreciate gyms can be intimidating, but actually most people don't care. And that gives me a lot of reassurance if I'm feeling a little bit self-conscious.
It does. Like, it's the very, very minority that might judge you, but like, if you've gone to a place where you don't feel comfortable, it wasn't the right place for you, you know. So that was a good podcast, Will. I really enjoyed that. And sorry it's a bit short tonight. We'll do a part 3, will be a lot longer, I promise. And I'll put our Instagrams in this podcast. I've actually booked in with Will. I'm having an MOT bloods test in November, so I'm really looking forward to having that done, just to see if there's anything that I need to do or top up afterwards, because it's all about longevity. So I would fully recommend that you sign up with Will, have a look at his Instagram, his website's on there. It's really detailed, the website. It's very thorough, and I like what he's doing. I will put details up for my Instagram. I've got a free health anxiety course that I am sharing at the moment. So details are in my Instagram as well. Thanks very much, guys. Thanks for watching. Sorry, go on, Will.
And that looks fantastic. You should really, like, any free resources that are a course that help you and can help you from home, from someone who has gone through things themselves and someone who puts a lot of effort into self-improvement and is really made an enormous amount of headway. You should pay attention to that, and it's free and it's fantastic. Yeah.
Thank you, Will. Thank you. Thanks very much. Thanks, guys.
Take care.
See ya.